If you've been browsing Facebook lately or watching videos on YouTube, you've likely encountered something that made you freeze. Posts declaring things like, new federal legislation compels all seniors above 70 to undergo yearly driving examinations, or DMV is targeting your license, or the one I keep noticing all over right now. If you're above 65, you might lose your driving rights beginning this year. These posts are all over the place. They're getting shared thousands of times daily, and they are truly scaring people who have been driving responsibly for decades. People who rely on their vehicle to reach medical appointments, to visit their grandchildren, to remain connected to the life they've created. So today, I'm going to do something that the majority of the internet is not doing. I'm going to explain what is genuinely accurate and what is entirely fabricated, because a great deal of what is spreading right now is completely untrue. And then, because the reality actually matters more than the panic, I'm going to guide you through what is genuinely changing in 2026. Actual changes, state by state, including one particular change occurring in under a month that most seniors in one major state haven't even learned about yet, and that change is actually positive news. And I'm going to conclude with something that your physician may be doing right now that could impact your driving privileges without you ever getting a single notification, because that one takes people completely by surprise. Remain with me through this whole video. Every section is important, whether you're 62 or 82, whether you had your license for 50 years without a single problem. What I'm about to reveal directly impacts your independence, your freedom, and your everyday life. Before we dive in, if you discovered this video through a search or a share, I want you to subscribe to this channel immediately and activate the notification bell. The reason is straightforward. I address exactly this type of information. Genuine changes that impact your everyday life, explained plainly without alarm, without overstatement, and without attempting to frighten you into clicking. I reviewed the actual state statutes, the actual DMV policy documents, and everything verified for 2026. And every time something genuine changes that you should know about, you'll learn it here first. The people subscribed to this channel receive correct information before it becomes an issue. Subscribe now and let's explore what's truly happening. Let's begin with the viral posts because they warrant a direct response, and they warrant it right away. The assertion that is circulating right now, the one being distributed in Facebook groups and senior community forums and YouTube comments, is that the federal government has enacted a new law mandating all drivers above the age of 70 to complete mandatory yearly road tests or face automatic license cancellation. This is untrue. There is no such federal statute. There never was. And more critically, there never could be, at least not without a foundational change to how our government operates. Here is the truth that these posts are intentionally overlooking. Driver licensing in the United States has always been managed by individual states, not by Washington. That power is safeguarded under the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which reserves authorities not assigned to the federal government, to the states, and to the people. The federal government does not issue driver's licenses. It does not renew driver's licenses. It does not cancel driver's licenses. It never has. When you obtained your license, you obtained it from your state's DMV, not from any federal agency. When you renew it through your state. The federal government has no process to remove that from you directly, and no legislation currently proposed would alter that. Every single version of this narrative that claims a new federal regulation is taking effect in 2026 has been fact-checked and disproven by FIND Law, by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and by state DMV agencies themselves. When you encounter these posts, you can scroll right past them. You don't need to worry. You don't need to send them to your family. They are not genuine. But here's where I need you to stay with me, because this is the section that genuinely matters. While the viral scare is untrue, actual changes are taking place at the state level, and some of them are considerable. The distinction is that several of those actual changes are in fact positive news for senior drivers, and hardly anyone in the media is covering those. So let's discuss what's genuinely taking place, beginning with the change that is the most time critical. There is one change occurring in fewer than 30 days that directly impacts hundreds of thousands of senior drivers in one of the biggest states in the nation, and most of them have no clue it's approaching. Illinois is adjusting its mandatory road test age from 79 to 87, taking effect July 1st, 2026. Let me clarify what that genuinely means for actual people. Under the previous rule, every Illinois driver who reached 79 was obligated to pass a complete road test, a behind-the-wheel driving evaluation, in order to retain their license. Not a written exam, not a vision screening, a complete road test. The type where an examiner sits in your passenger seat and assesses your ability to handle traffic, execute turns, parallel park, and react to road conditions. For millions of individuals, that test represented a genuine and frightening possibility that they would not pass it, lose their license, and lose the independence that license symbolized. Under the revised law, that obligation doesn't begin until age 87. If you are in Illinois and you are between 79 and 86 years old currently, you no longer face an automatic road test at renewal. You will still need to pass a vision screening and pay your renewal fee. Those obligations don't disappear. But the driving test obligation, the one that has been generating anxiety and sleepless nights for years, that is eliminated for your age group beginning July 1st. Consider what that genuinely means for a moment. If your birthday falls between now and the end of the year, and you've been delaying your renewal because you were fearing that road test, you need to review the updated rules immediately. The test you've been worrying about may no longer pertain to you. This is not a minor change. This is a substantial, life-altering shift in the law that returns to hundreds of thousands of Illinois seniors something they were in danger of losing. It merits far more coverage than the fabricated federal scare stories that are being distributed thousands of times daily. California enacted a comparable move that garnered almost no attention anywhere, and I want to ensure you learn about it because it directly impacts the biggest senior population in the nation. California quietly removed the mandatory knowledge test, which is the written examination for drivers 70 and older at renewal, provided they have no major violations on their record. This change occurred without ceremony, without press announcements, without anyone making a prominent declaration about it. And consequently, thousands of seniors have been arriving at DMV appointments, waiting in those rooms for hours, nervous and worried about a written test they were no longer obligated to take because nobody informed them the obligation was eliminated. California does still mandate an in-person visit for drivers 70 and older. It does still mandate a vision screening, but the written knowledge examination, the one evaluating your ability to answer questions about road signs and traffic regulations. That obligation has been removed for 70-plus drivers who maintain a clean record. If you are in California, if you have a relative in California, or if anyone you know has been anxious about a DMV visit because of that written test, please share this video with them. They may be stressing about something they no longer need to stress about. Now let's review what the actual requirements look like across the nation, state by state, because this is where it truly matters to understand your particular situation. There is no single nationwide answer. What is accurate in one state may be entirely different from what is accurate in another. And what was accurate at your previous renewal may not be accurate at your upcoming one. States revise these requirements more frequently than most people are aware. The most typical ages where additional requirements start are 65, 70, and 75. Let's review the states where these requirements are most likely to impact you. Arizona mandates in-person renewals and shorter renewal periods starting at 65. If you're in Arizona and you're accustomed to renewing online every several years, that shifts when you reach that age threshold. You'll be making in-person visits more regularly, and you'll want to prepare for that. California, Iowa, and Alaska mandate vision tests and in-person appearances beginning at around 69 or 70, depending on the particular state regulations. Vision testing at that point is not punishing. It's sensible. Vision shifts as we age in ways that aren't always noticeable to us, and many drivers are amazed to learn their eyesight has drifted outside the legal threshold for driving. Detecting that early is beneficial for everyone, including you. Indiana, Massachusetts, New Mexico, and Virginia begin their tighter requirements at 75. That could mean shorter renewal periods or additional vision testing, or both, depending on the state. If you're nearing that threshold and you reside in one of those states, now is the moment to discover exactly what's needed, so you're not caught off guard at the DMV counter. Texas and Illinois both initiate their additional requirements at 79, though, as we already covered, Illinois just elevated its road test age substantially to 87, which is one of the most noteworthy pro-senior changes in recent history. Nevada mandates renewals every 4 years instead of every 8, beginning at 65, and a vision test at every individual renewal once you hit 71. That's more regular DMV interaction than drivers in many other states, but it's workable if you anticipate it's coming. The single most critical thing you can do right now today, before you exit this video, is visit the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety website, which is at iihs.org, and research your particular state's renewal requirements by age. This takes roughly 5 minutes. It provides you the precise current regulations for where you reside, and it is considerably more dependable than what a friend mentioned last year, what you spotted on Facebook this morning, or what the regulations were at your previous renewal. States revise these requirements routinely. What pertained to you before may not pertain to you now, and the revision may actually be to your advantage. Now, I want to address something that practically nobody is discussing, and it is the thing that surprises people most, entirely without warning. This is the circumstance where you do everything correctly. You pass your vision screening. You have a spotless record. You've never had a difficulty at renewal. And then your license still gets flagged for review without you doing a single thing, because of a discussion you had with your physician. In an increasing number of states, your physician has a legal duty to report specific medical conditions to the DMV. Not a preference, not a suggestion, a legal duty. And the conditions that activate this mandatory reporting encompass things that are considerably more prevalent than most people understand. Recently diagnosed dementia or Alzheimer's disease is on the roster in several states. Epilepsy and seizure disorders are on the roster. Vision deterioration that drops below the legal threshold for driving is on the roster. Certain heart conditions, including particular types of arrhythmias, are on the roster, and serious sleep disorders, especially untreated sleep apnea, are on the roster in a number of states. The states that presently have mandatory physician reporting statutes in some form include California, Delaware, Nevada, New Jersey, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. That roster is not comprehensive, and it is expanding as more states revise their policies. The particular list of conditions differs from state to state, but the concept is identical. If your physician diagnoses you with a condition that may impact your capacity to drive safely, they may be legally compelled to inform the DMV about it. Here is why this is relevant to you in practical terms. Your physician may already be compelled by law to alert your state DMV if you have received specific diagnoses, and that alert can initiate a DMV evaluation of your driving privileges without you starting anything, without you realizing anything has been submitted, and sometimes without you being notified until a letter shows up. And by the time that letter shows up, the clock is already ticking on your response period. An evaluation does not automatically mean your license gets suspended. It does not mean your driving days are finished. In most instances, it means the DMV will mail you a letter requesting supplementary testing or a medical assessment. But here's the essential part. If you disregard that letter, or if you don't reply within the mandated time frame, the result can be an automatic suspension. Not because you failed an exam, not because you did anything improper, but simply because you didn't realize the letter was arriving and you didn't reply to it in time. If you have been recently diagnosed with any of the conditions I described, or if your physician has expressed any concerns about a condition that might impact your driving, it is worth questioning your physician directly in straightforward language whether they are compelled to report to the DMV in your state and what that procedure involves. Knowing beforehand provides you time to assemble documentation, finish any mandated evaluations, and reply appropriately, rather than being caught unaware by a letter that initiates a clock you didn't realize was ticking. I want to be explicit that this is not about removing people's licenses unjustly. When properly administered, this system is structured to guarantee that people who can safely drive continue to drive, and that people who truly cannot are not placed in a situation to injure themselves or others. But the way it functions in reality, with letters showing up unexpectedly and response periods that are shorter than people expect, it is a system that penalizes people who don't realize it exists. Now you realize it exists. There is additionally a voluntary pathway that exists in every state, and it is valuable to understand if you have a family member whose driving has deteriorated and you're uncertain what to do about it. Every state maintains a process that permits family members, physicians, law enforcement officers, or in some states, any concerned citizen, to privately request a DMV evaluation of a particular driver. The driver is not informed who initiated the request. The request is handled as a private referral. The DMV then contacts the driver and performs an assessment, which generally involves medical evaluation and, in some instances, a road test. This is not about confiscating someone's keys randomly. It is not a penalty. It is a structured process with appropriate medical evaluation that is designed to determine whether someone can safely continue to drive. If you have a parent or a family member whose driving has shifted noticeably in the past year or two, and you're uncertain what to do, and you're uncertain how to approach that discussion, this pathway exists.